It's Our Story. Colleen Starkloff, St. Louis, Missouri.
Ed, a woman by the name of Jenny Laurie, who was a very dear friend of ours and who was considered the grande dame of the independent living movement, and who, through her personality and through her work, is really the one who brought a lot of us together. Max and I had the fun and privilege of meeting Ed Roberts and Judy Heumann and Lex Frieden and Mark Abristo and Group Captain Leonard Cheshire and people from all over the world at 4500 Maryland, just a couple blocks from our home. And Jenny Laurie was really the glue that brought a lot of us together. But she, in her later years, did a polio conference called the International Post-Polio Conference. And people came literally from all over the world to attend that conference. And it had a lot to do with independent living, and it had a lot to do with the issues that people who were surviving polio had to deal with. And so, of course, that was people like Ed and Judy Heumann. Anyway, Ed came for the conference, and I said, you know, you're always traveling in and out of St. Louis and you're not here very long. Why don't you come and stay with us? And so he said, well, I would love to do that. And he made a comment about, I said to him, when you travel, how do you deal with breathing? I know that you travel and you breathe on your respirator all the time, but doesn't it get a little tedious not having your lung around? And he said, well, yeah, it does, but he said, you know, people can't just, he said, I can't take an iron lung with me, and people don't have iron lungs. And I said, well, let me see what we can do about that. So I called a friend of ours by the name of Dr. Oscar Schwartz, who was in the rehabilitation department at St. Mary's Health Center, which is just about 10 minutes west of our home. And I said, I had heard, I think either Ginny told me or Oscar told me that they had an old iron lung over at the hospital that had been used years and years ago when polio was big, and they had never really gotten rid of it, and it was still over there. And I said, well, I said to Dr. Schwartz, listen, a friend of ours is coming to stay with us, and I would really like to be able to borrow that lung from the hospital. And he said, oh, borrow it. And I said, yeah, I need it for our friend Ed Roberts. And he said, well, okay, I'll ask him. And so he went to the hospital, and I don't know who he talked to or what he did, but he called me up and he said, say, they're going to let you borrow this lung, but you know, you have to move it, you have to come pick it up, and you have to bring it back. And I said, well, okay, we can do that. So my brother had a pickup truck, and the lung would fit in the back of the pickup truck, and they had a loading dock at St. Mary's. And what we did was we got some long pieces of wood, and we doubled them up because the lung is heavy. And we went out to St. Mary's, and actually I got two of my brothers, and I got some neighbors also involved in this. I said, listen, I pulled Jenny Laurie. Jenny was very good about getting friends and neighbors involved in things and making them feel like it was a privilege for them to do it. And I can't tell you if our neighbors felt privileged, but they certainly were intrigued with the idea of bringing an iron lung into our home. So anyway, they all trotted out to St. Mary's and rigged up these wooden little ramps and pushed this lung down into the back of the pickup truck. And then when we got it here, got it out in the back alley, and of course we have ramps into our house, so here comes this iron lung through our backyard, and some of the neighbors were pretty stunned. They didn't even know what it was, and so that was an opportunity to talk about iron lungs and people who'd had polio. Anyway, we put it in our living room, and Ed came and stayed with us, and we had a great time.
The It's Our Story project is a national effort to make disability history public and accessible. Visit us at www.itsourstory.org or on the It's Our Story project YouTube channel.